Everyone talks about the whole zonal and man to man. I'm a big man to man guy, probably because of my basketball background. Like I can't. I feel like you gotta simplify it. You gotta follow a person, right? Obviously, there's more to it than that, but I feel like my simplistic brain just goes like, why don't you just pick a guy and follow that guy wherever he goes, right? Kind of. I mean, because if you're talking about a zone, right, you're gonna be like, oh, is this part of my zone? Is that part of my zone, right? And then two people get confused and go like, whereas if it's just a person, like, hey, I got Van Dyke. Well, Van Dyke's my guy. No one's gonna get confused, except if you're Darwin
The
Nunez.
issue with that is nowadays, see, Matush says no more zonal marking too. I almost feel like zonal marking is a bit easier to get everybody on the same page for as you get different people, and it's harder to get mismatches and stuff like that against because they don't know how you're gonna set the zone. Hey, look who got his connection back.
Did I not loan you his laptop, Gordo?
It's been a day, and this is just added to it. Like with the storms last night, my son was up all night, so like I didn't get my workout done until like 12:30, and then he was up at 4:30, and then at 5 o'clock I was told we were going in a storm with all the outages. So this right now is like the only thing keeping me alive. Plus add into like the allergies, so it looks like I'm like 95 years old. I'm
Yeah, I was gonna say we did have some ridiculous winds over here yesterday in Chicagoland. So yeah, a lot of power outages, I assume, from that thing.
Yeah, this morning there was like 701 power outages affecting like 14,900 something customers. So
Jesus.
Okay. Is that like a lot though? Like, see, you threw some numbers out there, but the other day he was like, it was iffy it was gonna be on or not because the weather was gonna be rough. Yep. And then he threw out a number like only 800 people don't have power. Like you really poo-pooed the number.
So in the Chicagoland area, like the comment territories probably services like 49,000 people or something. So thanks, Susie. That's how I feel. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. I woke up this morning and I was like, man, I'm not all the calls that I have for storm related stuff. Like I'm just gonna turn my camera off, and I'm like, shit, I have the podcast today. I'm gonna have to be on camera.
So zonal, we were just talking about that. So hopping right into the conversation. Zonal marking or man-to-man marking and set piece. We're putting our resume together to go in there. So maybe we can all get one resume together. You're like, what's better than one special teams coach? Or what do they call it? What is the title? Set piece coach. A bunch of guys saying a bunch of different shits. Like
we do it in the Step Brothers style, where we all we sit behind each other.
Right.
Pan or Pam?
Yes, just tell each person to find someone there, hide and stay with him, says Matush. See, I feel like man-to-man these days are a lot harder with almost like the picks team set. It's a lot easier to get somebody isolated and alone. And as a defender, I'd rather know this as opposed to, I feel like it's less watching as a zone defending as opposed to the man-to-man. You can more focus on the ball, not as much on the player. Does that sound right?
Yeah. The one thing though, it doesn't matter what team you watch, whether they do a zonal or whether they do a man-to-man. If a goal is scored from the defending, everyone always goes like, "Yeah, who had that guy?" It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Even I've seen like man-to-man where it's like, no, that was clearly your guy that ran away, and it's still like, who looking around for who's supposed to be picking him up.
What's his name comes to mind in the League Cup final? Disasi.
Yeah,
I think he was marking Virgil, and then he was like rolling on the floor. I was like, dude, that's your man. What are you so upset about?
That was your guy.
I know, I remember, when something like that happens, like if you do not know, and if you're watching, just look at who every player is looking at, because they know when it happens, everybody's like, bro, that was yours. Like, and then, you don't want to throw your teammate under the bus, and then you're like, damn it, and you keep going or whatever. But yeah, it's instant. Everybody will be like, it's you. That was you, dude. He was yours. And that's why I feel like man-to-man is a lot harder to, I think like established in some ways and depends on the players you have. I mean, here's the thing: if you're a smaller team, and I don't know if this is why more teams are switching to zonal than before, because if you have a smaller team, you can get outmatched by a team, like get that mismatch in there. Whereas it feels like zonal, you can have the correct people in place to protect the zones. I mean, I don't know if that's the thinking behind it, but I just feel like I can see why more and more teams are preferring zonal.
I always preferred to play against a zonal D. Like if I was on the attacking side of a corner, I always preferred the defense to be zonal. I always felt I could always get more space. But that was also like high school and like D1 college where most of the people are like, okay, I just stand right here. Whereas, like, I feel like in the Premier League, they kind of had an idea of like, oh, you have to move. It's a little more fluid than just like Coach told me to stand here and I don't move.
I'm just